Who's older? First question right there. Which one of y'all is older?
All right. I am older. This is Dr. Jermaine Hogstrom speaking. I am older by about 8 minutes, which is a long, complicated story in and of itself. But yeah, I am older.
So what? Okay. So we don't need to skim over everything. So what's the story? What's the story? Let's hear it.
Oh, why the 8 minutes? Oh, why the 8 minutes? Okay. Well, so the 8 minute story. Okay, so basically what happened was that
say they love me, yeah, I'm their favorite. Okay.
What is up, fam? I'm Dr. Dale, the author of How to Raise a Doctor Wisdom from Parents Who Did It, the author of Pre-Med Mondays, author of Black Men and White Coats, author of the Dr. Doc Children's Series, author of The Doctor's Got Stuff Publishing, and a whole bunch of other random stuff got going on in my life. Listen to the Black Men and White Coats podcast, the place where clinicians have the platform to share their stories with listeners like you. I am super excited about today's guests, plural. I didn't say guests, I said guests, plural. Super excited about them. A lot of y'all already gonna know who they are. If you're in any sort of social media thing and you follow doctors, you're gonna know who they are. And those of you who are watching on YouTube, make sure y'all watch and subscribe on YouTube. You can see them right now. So you already know who they are. Super excited, but 1 second on that. I'm going to get to them here in a little bit. Just want to remind y'all of a few things. First off, the Black Men and White Coast Youth Summits. We are back, rocking and rolling. I'm coming to Chicago next month. So actually, I don't know when this is going to come out, but we're coming to Chicago June 4th. So Chi-Town, we back. And we got my guy, Dr. Pierre Johnson, going to be doing the keynote speech. We got Abdullah Pratt. I got a message from Ladette. What's up, Ladette? So hopefully we're going to pull Ladette through up there in Chicago as well. And after Chicago, we got like 19 more of these summits coming across the country. So y'all be ready. We're coming to a city near you. First thing. Second thing is pre-meds. I'm trying to tell you, we're paying for your MCATs. We're paying for your MCATs. So we're going to put the link down below. Go to there. It'll take you like 5 minutes to fill a little form out or whatever. As long as you do everything right. Well, I shouldn't say that. Not everybody's going to get it, but most people will get it, right? Just fill it out. We're giving y'all money, okay? Hey, you want to save yourself a few $100? Money's in the bank. I'm going to cut you a check. We're going to pay for your MCATs. All right. We want to help you guys out. All right. With all that said, now I'm super excited to introduce these two guests. Man, my goodness, they're like social media giants. Giant might not even be a big enough word for it. I don't know. Maybe titans and whatever the biggest type of creature thing you can imagine. That's these two guys, man. I think it's over 3 million followers total across the social media platform. Something bonkers like that, right? I'm really impressed, but not just the social media followers, like doing good stuff. The information they put out there is great information you're putting out there and educating, and they're also just killing it academically, chief residents, all sorts of great stuff. Not one, but two. They're twins. It's Dr. Hogstrom and Dr. Hogstrom, Jermaine and Jeremy Hogstrom. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us, Dr. Bell. We're very excited to be here. Absolutely. Very excited.
Man, I'm super excited. So obviously, we've been reaching out to y'all and just trying to coordinate this time and such. And I know you guys are busy. You guys are everywhere, so I know you're busy. So, I really, really appreciate y'all taking the time out. We're on a weekend. We don't do stuff on weekends, but for y'all, man, we're gonna miss it. We need to make sure we get this in with you guys.
Absolutely appreciate it, man.
Super excited to hear your stories, and we're gonna take it way back, way back. So let's just jump right into this. All right.
All right.
Who's older? First question right there. Which one of y'all is older?
All right. I am older. This is Dr. Jermaine Hogstrom speaking. I am older by about 8 minutes, which is a long, complicated story in and of itself. But yeah, I am older.
So what? Okay. So we don't need to skim over everything. So what's the story? Let's hear it.
Oh, why the 8 minutes? Oh, why the 8 minutes? Okay. Well, so the 8 minute story. Okay. So basically what happened was that I was born through a natural birth. And he was born through a C-section. So bless our mom for being able to go through that long trial there. But, so there were some complications there involving the cord being wrapped around his neck from what we understand. Yep. So therefore he had to kind of have an emergency surgery to get him out. Yep. So I was the one playing around with the umbilical cord. So, heart rate started going down and oxygen started going down. So they switched planes pretty quickly. But here I am doing well.
That's pretty cool. I don't know much about OB, but I wonder how often that happens where you get one natural, one C-section. That's pretty interesting.
Yep.
My oldest son was the same. My oldest son, he had the cord. I think it was my oldest, one of my kids had the cord wrapped around now. So we had some of those types of situations as well. All right. So speaking, since we're talking about your mom and this, tell me about your parents. So we'll get into learning about you guys, but behind every, great child, parents. So tell me about your parents.
Yeah. So, our mother, she is from small town Mississippi. It's called Louisville, Mississippi, about 30 minutes outside of Starkville, which is where Mississippi State is. Growing up, we actually grew up mostly with our father. But we were always, back and forth, seeing our mother. And so we grew up with our father actually in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So, our mother, everybody's always asking us like, well, what do our parents do, right? Are they have to be doctors or something? And like, absolutely not. No. Our mother is a physical therapist. She's done a lot of home health physical therapy, throughout her career. That's kind of where she started. And she's loved the personal connections that she's made with her parents and her patients, not her parents, parents too, but patients. And, for us actually growing up, we would, kind of sometimes be able to see what those interactions were like. And, on holidays, the patients would give her stuff and cakes and all these just cool things. But yeah, she's done a lot of physical therapy throughout her life. And that I'll say sort of, in the beginning, really sort of, opened our eyes and introduced us somewhat to the medical field. Yeah.
Y'all were like, man, patients are giving her gifts, man. We got to do that.
We gotta, right? Exactly. I want cake. No. But what it really was just that seeing that appreciation and seeing the, how you can really sort of have that impact on somebody's life and help them through tough times. She was helping rehabilitate people, older people that may have fallen, broken a hip, people that may have been in car accidents, all sort of things. And, kind of seeing that growing up really, I think, put a seed in us, of, whatever we decide to want to do, we want to make sure that, it's something that can really, have an impact on people's lives and that we're able to, touch people in special ways and just be able to be there for them in their toughest time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, our father, we grew up with him, like I said earlier, and he is definitely way far from any sort of medical field. He's far from. He's been mostly in the broadcasting. He early in his days, he was doing broadcast journalism. And then really now throughout most of his career, he's been doing a lot. He works for a PBS television station. So he's president and CEO of basically been that for several different local public television stations across America in different cities. And so, he's been everywhere from California to Florida to Tennessee.
Well, I just had the light bulb moment just clicked in my head. Mom was in health, dad was in media.
There you go.
It all makes sense now.
It all makes sense. Social media. So here comes social media, right? So it's funny because we always look with people and we tell them that we are the true PBS kids, right? And because we grew up around it a lot, and all things in that way, and just we're watch all the shows, we know all the shows, we've gotten to really have some really cool experiences. Yeah, and we've even just growing up around our dad and his career too. We've spent long days and long nights at the studios and at the office in the studio. We would watch him do different things on TV. And, just kind of being a part of that, growing up. So for us, we've always sort of had that in the back of our head too, like, man, this media thing is pretty cool, Oh, yeah. But either way, so for us, as you can tell, our paths of choices to make as far as, what do I want to be when I grow up? It was pretty wide open because you have different parents on different complete opposite ends of the spectrum career-wise. So
y'all did end up doing what both of them did, though, in a sense, and kind of put it together.
In a roundabout way, yeah, we really did. Yep.
So what was y'all's favorite PBS show?
Ooh, wow, that's a good question. Man, I guess this would kind of go more back to early 2000s and late 90s. One show we did watch a lot was Arthur. I think that was a pretty big one at the time. I know Zoom became a big one too, was with all the kids. That was still a really good one. I was going to ask you about that.
I was going to ask you if you guys watch Zoom.
Yeah, we watched Zoom.
Definitely watched that.
Man, what else was there? That was a wow. What else was this? I think those are the main two for us, though, really. But yeah, I'm pretty sure those are like the main two. So it was for us. It was all about Arthur, all about Zoom, and so
we
always went to like all of the Sesame Street lives. That was pretty cool. Having some nice backstage access there, VIP access. It was that was fun. Elmo up close, right? Tickle me, right?
When I was like, I remember 3 or 4. I remember doing the Sesame Street on ice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what kind of So first of all, that's super cool. I still think it's amazing how y'all kind of put those two things together. And you guys are still super early in your careers. I mean, who knows where y'all will go with media, right? So what kind of kids were you all? So when you're, between 5 and 10, kind of that younger elementary school, age type, were you guys into the books? Were you into sports? Were you into music? What kind of kids were y'all? And actually was one of you like this or one of you a different type of way?
Yeah. I think we were probably into a lot of different things. One thing we picked up pretty early was tennis. We started learning that at a pretty early age. We actually picked up piano in middle school. Also in elementary, we started Taekwondo, which we now have a first degree black belts in. Nice. That's pretty cool. I think one thing that maybe probably a little bit different was that I was pretty big into drawing when I was younger. I like to really draw a lot of things, and it was just kind of my thing. And I think because of it, when they kind of going back to when they ask, well, what did you want to be when you grew up? Well, I mean, I was actually really big into architecture. I thought I might want to be like, designing houses or buildings. But that did kind of change later on. What do you say that you were big into? Yeah, I mean, those were a lot of things that we did growing up, and a lot of it still carries with us today. Oh, yeah. We have we still play the piano from time to time whenever we have free time and just to kind of relax and just to do something different and kind of escape. We still do that. I would say growing up, I remember younger, I think it's fair to say that we were more on the shy side, actually. I think we're more shy. I remember, not really being like a out there kind of a person, I'm just kind of wanting to keep to myself. And this was more like preschool, kindergarten, early elementary school kind of days. I remember kind of being more that way. Yeah. So which is definitely a complete 360 from what we're doing now. And I'm definitely not as shy by any means anymore. We're putting ourselves out there.
So even like when you meet somebody in person in real life, I mean, right now, you're not shy, because some people, are really introverts, but they know how to put themselves out there for the sake of public, whatever. So you're not shy at all. If you come to a cocktail party, you just free willy.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely have no problem, conversing and starting a conversation with people, and I just like to have a good time. Yeah.
That's fascinating. So when you were young, I don't know if there's an answer to this question, but you were shy as kids. You would think that maybe being twins, you wouldn't be shy because you'd have kind of that extra layer of confidence. Somebody you always know, and y'all, of course, weren't always together, but you know what I mean? I assume you went to the same school, things like that. So you have that kind of backup, in close proximity. You would think that would kind of boost confidence always.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, it's like, I remember, I think we always had confidence like in each other together. Right. It was just more of I don't know what it was actually, but I just remember like, not really saying a whole lot all the time when it came to, interacting and stuff. But I think that, to be honest, like along the way, I just kind of grew out of it. I can't really explain it, but I do remember like in preschool, I was like, man, I really don't want to be here. Actually, I just want to go back home. But anyways, definitely kind of grew out of that phase. And now, we definitely use our twin power, our brotherhood to really, push forward ideas that we have. And so what now, a lot of times is, if one of us comes up with an idea for something, or we want to do something, it's always a team effort for things. And I think that's one of the biggest things that especially, our dad really wanted to instill in us, was to always work together and work hard for everything that, in everything that we do. And, definitely attribute a lot to what we do now, to that, having that instilled in us growing up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super important. You know, my family, we're very close. There's 4 kids in my family. I'm the youngest. There's 4 kids. So people see it as black men and white coat stuff. And I think most people see kind of my face, Dr. Dale, but what some people know, some people don't know is my brother, Dr. Daniel's behind everything. Like after we finish recording this podcast, everything's going straight to him. He's going to put it together. He's going to make, he does all of our social media. I don't even see what happened. Shout out to my big brother, Dr. Daniel, because I don't even see what happens to anything anymore after this, right?
Yeah.
So kind of similar to what you're saying, like the two of you guys work together. We do a lot of stuff together. And my oldest brother, he's like smarter than all of us. He's brains. He's always giving us ideas. My sister's in law. She's good. Like what you're saying, what your dad did for y'all is huge. Like giving you a partner from the get-go and saying, you guys figure this thing called life out together. That's huge.
Yeah.
Your dad, you know, sound like your dad did very well, respected. What was the influence? Like what did it mean to y'all to be able to see a man in that position doing those things, to see your dad doing that? Like, what did that do for you all in your life in your, you know, your pursuit of excellence, not medicine, but your pursuit of excellence, just having him in your life?
We'll be right back.
We need more black men in white coats because we need to save the lives of more black men, period.
There were fewer black men applying to medical school in 2014 than in 1978.
There are several medical schools that do not have any black men in their classrooms. When that is the case, and we're in a learning environment, there's going to be different conclusions made about how to care for people if there are not diverse people around the table.
You need to care about your fellow man and woman, otherwise we all suffer. So the reason why white people, white women should care about diversifying the physician workforce, which includes black men, is because it makes it better for all of us.
Historically, the system wasn't designed for black men to succeed.
My mom, on and off drugs, in and out of jail my whole life, and becoming an orthopedic spine surgeon, if I can do it and come from that environment and everything that I went through, I think you can also.
There are little black boys out there who see me on TV, who see me in this role, and who may not have ever thought that they could be a doctor, much less Surgeon General, who when they see that, all of a sudden think, I can do that too.
We're approaching this as though it's a problem versus realizing that we have a crisis on our hands.
What's the impact if this problem doesn't change?
Black people are gonna continue dying.
Yeah, ain't no time for stressing, I've been really stepping. Ooh, ooh. Yeah, if you wanna go get it, stop playing around. Really got on racks, ain't playing around. Wanna go get it, stop playing around. Really got on racks, ain't playing around. Black man, white coat, shit, we up right now, yeah. You gotta set you a goal, you gotta accomplish your goal.
Yeah, I think really just the biggest thing for me, kind of seeing. So he's from Liberia, which is in the western part of Africa, and he came here when he was very, very young and didn't really have much, and just seeing kind of where he is now, kind of compared to kind of where he came from and how he was able to come here, go to school, build a career, essentially out of nothing, and really just set his mind to what he really wanted to do, and not only achieve that, but go beyond that, right? So for me, it's seeing that's really part of what really what pushes me to want to do the best that I can and be the best that I can be, and whatever it is that we do. And I think just seeing what he's achieved now, it's really, I think it's like the ultimate inspiration, being able to see how he's able to impact people and reach out into the community and do things on TV, and just having a very broad reach and impact. And I think that really influenced how we wanted to approach medicine, just in being able to incorporate media to a certain extent, and being able to leverage that and use that to our advantage.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just like what he said, he came over at a young age, and, seeing what he does now, and not only what he's doing, but like how he does it and how he carries himself, it definitely influenced we carry ourselves. We we always growing up with him, he was definitely more on the stricter side. I will say that. He definitely, in his mind has a plan, an idea for how, he wants his kids to be, right? And not in the sense that, oh, you have to do this career or you have to go in this direction, but how he wants them to behave, how they want them, us to respect people, and how he wants us to also be respected, right? And so carrying that, although, we are entering this field of medicine where Black men are the minority, it kind of gave us a sense of confidence that, we recognize that we're the minority, but at the same time, a confidence that we can still do it, no matter what, that we will make it to the end, and we'll just keep pushing through whatever barriers, whatever obstacles that, we might encounter. And so again, seeing how, seeing the different struggles and things that he's faced, whether it's career-wise or whether it's racially motivated issues that have come up, seeing him get through those things and still maintain where he is and what he's doing is definitely inspiring and very motivating for us. So, I feel like that's where we get some of our confidence from. It's definitely, from him, seeing what he's done. So,
I love that. Like we do this Black men and white coach stuff sometimes. I think some people might come to our events or they tune into our stuff because they think we're gonna sit here and rant about racism and talk about how, Black people we're performing at whatever level we are because we don't have opportunities. Like that's not what we do, like, yeah, there's issues out there, right? That stuff is out there. But what you just said about your dad is huge, right? Like there's going to be issues out there.
Yeah.
But we still rise to be successful, right?
Exactly.
And I tell people like, that's what we do. We say there's issues out there, all right? Like, hey, we're going to work on the issues. That's cool. But at the same time, get on your grind, bust your butt, rise. Now, like I tell my kids, I say, hey, the next person might not care about you. So, they're not worried about your issues. So you got to figure it out. And when you get there, then you try to help other people,
Exactly.
It sounds like that's kind of what you describe in the mindset from your dad.
Exactly. And, we recently gave a speech down. We did the keynote address at the SNMA board of directors dinner down in Orlando.
Shout out to SNMA.
Shout out to SNMA, man. They're continuously doing awesome things and definitely and really, pulling a lot of people together that want to enter this field that, may lack confidence or may not know the way. And they're really doing a good job. We met so many really amazing people. And, during, so one of the things that we talked about, well, two of the things that we talked about, one was that, it has to do with, not always being so concerned with seeking outside validation, right? Seeking validation from somebody else for what you want to do, right? Right. I remember, one thing that we told them was that, with all the things that you want to do and all the challenges that you may face, if you're waiting for that outside validation to come, then you might as well keep waiting until the end of time, because nobody's going to be the one to push you and approve what you're doing, right? That could only come from within. And I think that's one of the things that, sometimes people might lack inside, is that they want that external validation. And I understand, we all to some extent want to be validated, right? But not so much so to where you're waiting, and then it hinders your own progress and your own success. So, with that being said, you have to make sure that, again, especially if you're approaching this journey, what you want to do, have that plan in place and have that support system behind you. And at the end of the day, you'll put in the hard work and you'll make it there. So, but it's that outside validation that we have to not be so worried about.
Yeah. I mean, you got to set your own goals, right? You set your goals and, and it's not even about whether or not you accomplish the goal. It's more so about the process, the grind to get to the goal. I tell people it's not about whether you accomplish the goal, it's about who you become on your way to accomplishing that goal. And it has nothing to do with external validation,
Exactly. And, we also talked about failure, right? Especially on this journey, we talked about that, we talked about the importance of not being so scared of failure that you get so hindered in what you want to do that it breaks your confidence, right? Because failure is a natural process of learning and growing and thriving, right? And not everybody's path is going to be like so different from even within our own residency class, how we all got to where we are, completely different paths. And we've all had our own failures along the way. But we always talk about it's how you respond to your failure, whatever that may be, that makes that difference. So we always tell people basically not to fear failure, but to fear not trying hard enough, right? Because once you fail at something, you can learn from that and move on. The path will be a little bit clearer for you. You can move on, learn, and keep moving forward. But if you're fearing just the sake of failure so much to where you then decide, it's preventing you
stepping out there.
Exactly. And so that's kind of our mindset from now on, is that that's just kind of how we are. And it takes a minute to kind of get to that mindset. I'm not gonna lie. There's no just wake up and say, oh, okay, I'm not gonna fear failure, I'm just gonna go for it. But it's all through a learning experience about that you start to realize how much sometimes your own hesitations and your own doubts can really mess with you. So
and one thing, kind of looking on the other side again, we started this long journey, of trying to go to med school, then trying to become a doctor. And one thing I remember that we talked about, especially during that speech too, that I felt was very important, was, not focusing so much on what it is that you want to be, but focus on who you want to be, right? Because, it takes years to become a physician. And a lot of people on this path, they focus on that so much that they get there and they become this doctor, but then they kind of lose sight of, okay, what do they want to do now, right? And that's where that question of who do you want to be comes into place. What impact do you want to have? How do you want to impact people where you live? What mark do you want to leave? So that's kind of what we focus on now, is who do we want to be?
That's huge. I always tell people, it's on the same vein that, I teach about job versus your work, right? Like work deals more with who you are. Who do you want to be? The Bible, as God gave Adam work, is about work, right? A job is how you spend your time in exchange for resources, money or whatever. And, to the exact point you're making there, people get so caught up in thinking, I'm going to go become a doctor. That's your job, right? In a certain sense, it's doing that work. But the who you want to be, the work you want to do, work is like your lifelong dream. That's so much bigger.
Exactly.
And what happens if you're a doctor and then you're a surgeon and something bad happens that you do bad, you mess up in a case, right? Which everybody's gonna mess up at some point. And that gets to you deep, and it's harder to bounce back from it because you think who I am, like I am the person that messes up. I am, rather than saying that's not who I am, and that's huge, I love the fact that you guys are telling that to the younger generation, because that's something that kids, the earlier you can learn that, I think the more free you'll be to pursue the things you want to pursue in life.
Exactly.
That's huge. That's huge. So let's rewind back to kind of junior high school, right? So eventually, obviously, y'all have progressed in life and successful doctors very early in your career still. But when, in terms of an academic, at some point you have to be doing good academically to even get on track to pursue this career. What kind of students were you all? Were you good students, or when did you guys become good students? Was it day one, preschool, the ABCs from like 1 year old, or did something click for you guys somewhere along that journey?
Yeah, I think for us it started pretty early, actually. And that's one thing that both of our parents really instilled in us is, make it a point to try to perform well academically, because that really sets the foundation for anything that you want to do going forward. And people, I think sometimes people don't realize that. So for example, for us, I think when we ultimately decided that we wanted to go to med school was, I think, somewhere around middle school to early high school.
Early
was when we both kind of figured, okay, this is something that we could really want to do. So we talked with our advisor, and we kind of got set on that track of trying to take the more challenging science courses that would really kind of push you and prepare you for undergrad. And then
hold on. Wait, did you say middle school?
Yeah.
Yeah, about middle school, about early high school.
Yeah, late middle school, early high school. Yeah.
Okay, so in middle school, you had the idea that you wanted to do it, and you guys had the maturity to go talk to an advisor about what do we need to do at that age.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, I mean, of course,
Wow.
you know, in high school,
Impressive.
we're like when we were assigned an advisor, but you know, at that time, it was more talking about that. You know, if we were heading in this direction, especially sciences and STEM and medicine potentially, you know, that's what we talked about. And kind of going back to your question about, you know, when, you know, were we always like making good grades and things? I mean, so I do recall like in elementary school, wasn't a straight A student. Actually, I would make, A's and B's, you know, I was never really like a straight A student, but I do recall that actually, I think when I got to the sixth grade, because we had switched schools at that time, was think when I started saying, you know what, why didn't I make A's on some of those B's, you know, and that's, I think when I remember pushing a little bit harder now. And so, you know, I remember like, you know, the first test came and I was like, hey, you know what, I'm just going to make an A on this test and see like how perfect I can get this score, just because I was just trying to like challenge myself and see, can I actually do it? You know, and I do remember, sure enough, you know, I scored really high, like on the first test, you know, for the first semester at this like new school. And I was like, man, okay, now I'm gonna see how far I can take this, you know?
Yep.
And by the end of the year and like the sixth grade, I was like, dang, I was like actually getting like all A's and things like that. And I think that was really the first time that I kind of actually believed in my like own academic abilities to actually make all A's, you know, by putting in that work. And really since there, I you know, I think sixth, seventh grade, I was able, you know, we were able to kind of carry that and keep it up. But I do remember prior to the sixth grade, I wasn't really making like all A's. It was usually A's, B's, maybe a C every here and there. But yeah, you know, it's definitely a lesson to myself that, you know, if I put in that work and kind of set that goal, and that, you know, it's like setting those little goals along the way. Okay, I'm gonna make an A on this test, next test. And then by the end of the year, it was like, you know, making A's. And that was really the first year that I'd ever had of making all A's, which was, I remember, very, very exciting things. I never done that before. And yeah. And so since then, I was like a really big confidence booster to kind of carry that mindset, you know, as I got older into late middle school and high school. So,
you know, it's really fascinating because you guys are talking, and maybe it's just me and, you know, my friends, but I think back to like when, you know, my wife's a doctor too. So I think back to like, I didn't know her when she was, you know, in middle school. I didn't meet her till we met like right at the very beginning of college. But when I was young, I wasn't thinking about making like straight A's. I just went to school and did whatever you're supposed to do in school. And I think I made straight A's in second grade, and then I made straight A's again like in seventh grade, and then high school I did fairly well. But I think I didn't care about my grades. You know, it's not a good thing. I know my wife didn't care about her grades, right? I think about my friends, like the folks I went to med school. I don't think they really cared about their grades like that, you know?
Yeah.
But like, you know, I do all these podcasts and such. And I feel like the younger docs that I interview now, at some point, it seems like for a lot more of y'all, it clicked. Like I interviewed Dr. Justin Sanders. We just put his episode out. I, you know, interviewed him, and he was telling me stuff like, you know, he was like just on it the whole way through. I feel like the younger generation now, for whatever reason, you guys are on it. And it's fascinating because in sports, so my oldest son, well, all my kids play sports, but my oldest guy right here, he's 10 now. That's an old picture. Yeah. My oldest son, he's like he's very into it. Like it's like the training and stuff like that. I feel like it's just become a generational thing where at younger ages, people are more focused on the types of things that they want to do. Exactly. And they're more aware, and things are happening younger nowadays than they were.
Yeah. And I would agree. I think so. I would agree. Even our younger sister, you know, I think back to like things that she's doing now, and I'm like, man, I mean, I wasn't thinking about that even at, you know, at her age too. So I see it too.
How old?
You know?
How old's your younger sister?
Our younger sister, well, we have a couple of younger siblings, but our younger sister back in Tennessee, she is 14, I think. Hopefully I'm not counting wrong. We're turning 14 this year. Can't remember.
And you guys certainly influenced her, so she probably definitely sees something. But that's just a really fascinating thing. When I heard you guys say that, you know, you met with your advisor, you talked to your advisor about these things, I'm like, goodness gracious. Like I was just out there trying to throw a basketball in the goal or whatever, you know, it's crazy. But that's really cool. So, so some you guys decide pretty young, and then let's move the timeline ahead. High school, I imagine you guys did fairly well.
Pretty well, yeah.
As before I get to this spot, where I'm going to is I want to know where you guys went to college and why the decision. But before that, anything crazy in high school? Like what was the thing you were most into in high school outside of the classroom? What did you spend your time doing?
It was 100%.
I want them band like a daddy, yeah. Only do it like Flagger, yeah. I'm kicking flavor, no saga, yeah. Hey, I like them blues. I might go Janet like Jackson. I got them options, yeah. It's all about progression. Life is like a blessing. Everything a win, loss is like a lesson. Ooh, ooh. Yeah, ain't no time for stressing. I've been really stepping. Ooh, ooh.